Hello and welcome to the Absolute Gamecast. Before this video starts, I just wanted to say thank you for all the support on the last Insurgence video. I enjoyed making it, and I'm glad you enjoyed watching it, so as promised, today's video will be about the post-game content Insurgence has to offer. Before I start, I figured I should mention a few things I didn't mention in the last video, the first being Orion, a Tauren region gym leader I didn't mention last time, who's literally a young child who somehow became friends with the legendary Reshiram after finding it in the form of a large white rock. I didn't mention him last time because, aside from a single side event, he doesn't really do much after his gym battle, but he features heavily in a quest I will mention later, so I figured he was worth a mention. Also, I wanted to mention Primal Giratina, which I forgot to mention last time, has one of the most broken abilities in Pokemon history, and even that feels like an understatement in all honesty. If Game Freak was afraid of the impact Eternamax Eternatus would have on the VGC metagame to where it's unobtainable in-game, everyone on Earth should fear Primal Giratina if it was an official Pokemon. Its base stat total is very high, sure, but the main attraction is its ability is Omni-type, a brand new exclusive ability that makes it every type in the game at once. The thing resists every type to the point where it's immune to everything except its one weakness, which is Bug, which is ironically enough bugged to where it's only resisted, so good luck not dying horribly while fighting that abomination of a Pokemon. With all that out of the way, I'm gonna get into detail now, but before I do, I'd like to issue a spoiler warning for the content I'm gonna cover today. If you haven't beaten the Pokemon League or played Insurgence before, please do that first before you watch this video if you want to go in blind. The Timeless were important in the main story, but you don't get fully introduced to them all until the post-game. Once you fully defeat the Elite Four, you're able to return to the cave where you first met King Vesserin and received Mew in the main story, only this time you're able to meet the Timeless in their base and battle them all. Upon defeating them, you're not only able to join their ranks, but also take your father's place that Jaren stole as the third Augur of the Tauren region, then opens up the rest of the post-game. They also officially let you have the full orb the Forgotten fought so hard to reclaim, which will be important later. Once you become the new Augur of the Tauren region, you can initiate a quest that allows you to join a research group on an expedition to the Hoenn region, the far-off ground zero of the Delta species phenomenon, meaning you can now find many more there in the wild. A significant amount of the game's total Delta Pokemon are found here scattered across the land, with the strongest and most elusive being the Delta Regis, Regirock, Registeel, and Regice. It's also here where you meet Professor Maple, a local Pokemon professor at a university who's currently studying the Delta phenomenon, and is looking for the Delta Regis specifically to document their existence. Let's not beat around the bush. Professor Maple is evil, big shocker, with him constantly muttering under his breath about finding the Regis whether we're on screen or not. I never would have guessed. It turns out Maple wants to capture them to conquer the world in an attempt to show everyone that he was right about the existence of the Delta Regis. Now that you've unknowingly helped him, he systematically captures each one and brings them to a cave known as the Gaia Core, where he plans on capturing Regigigas to complete the set, despite it not having a Delta form. Upon arriving, first, you capture it and battle Professor Maple. Adding Regigigas to your party causes it to react to the orb from the Timeless and undergo primal reversion, just like Groudon and Kyogre and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and Giratina and someone else who we'll get into shortly in this game. You defeat Professor Maple, forcing him to release the Regis back into the wild, where you can catch them for yourself later. And with that, Professor Maple is arrested, his tenure as a professor is revoked, and you never see or hear from him again. Now that you have access to the Hoenn region, you will receive a call from Orion that he needs help because Tyne from the Perfection Cult tries to steal Reshiram and summon the original dragon of the Unova region during the story, but it fails because Tyne didn't realize he needed to know the dragon's name to summon it, which Tyne didn't bother to learn ahead of time, and now here he is days or months later, trying again after finding out something that took Nora literal seconds to piece together. Since he's the hollow shell left over from the split, the dragon's name is literally just Curem, and somehow Tyne had no idea. Great job, Tyne, you did your best. Anyway, the dragon isn't formed because of a new character named Gale who shows up after you meet her at the Perfection Cult base and is just like, oh no, whatever shall I do? Go, Zygarde, and the ritual is stopped. You fight Tyne and win, because it's Tyne. and he gets so butthurt by losing to you for the millionth time that after he tries one more separate unsuccessful mission, he straight up leaves the Perfection Cult and moves to another region, hoping to never see a child in his life. But before leaving, he tells Rukra, "I'm sorry, I tried, but I hate children so much, and I'm leaving forever. This is stupid, you're stupid, take this, I'm out." And then, I kid you not, pulls out the Azure flute, hands it to Rukra, thinking it's some stupid old flute, and dips. My dude, I am sorry, do you have any idea how much power you just had in the palm of your hand and you gave it away without giving it a single try to see if something happened? Rukra even calls him out on this later in the game, knowing exactly what it was. You're telling me Rukra sent him on this mission and Tyne had never heard of the Azure flute, and Rukra knew about it but never told him what he was supposed to look for. Okay, that's enough of that. We all know that Tyne isn't very bright. It's fine. Let's move on. After Tyne leaves Torin, and after acquiring the HM replacements for Waterfall and Rock Climb, you can go back to the Dream Realm by traveling to a previously unreachable town and using Hoopa's power to open a portal. Upon entering, you'll learn that Mauld has infected most of the Darkrai cult with Pokérust and is trying to escape the Dream Realm to spread it to the rest of the world. He has Damien fight you again, and after you beat him, Mauld reluctantly frees all the cultists and then Damien after. This then allows you to accept a quest where you can explore the Abyssal Base and discover that Audrey survived Kyogre dragging her into the ocean. You can also capture Kyogre at this point as well. After returning to the real world, you learn that Rukra has traveled to the spot where you caught Giratina and challenges you to a battle. You win, and then he uses the Azure Flute to summon Arceus, who sees the player's orb and is like, "It's for me?" Steals it and goes primal as well, gaining a whopping 820 base stat total, the same as Primal Giratina, and an ability that makes it every move it uses stab, even if it's not the same type. Yikes. Once you catch it, Rukra leaves in anger and disappears. The final cult has fallen. There are a few more optional side quests, but most of them aren't major, just allowing you to catch the legendaries, aside from one that gives you more of Persephone and Diana's backstory, and one that lets you visit the old Perfection Base and catch a Delta Larvesta and the armor for its evolution. And that's about the end of the post-game content of Insurgence. I hope you enjoyed this mini-series. It was fun for me to talk about my favorite fan game, and I hope you are more motivated to check out the game. Show them some support if you haven't already. But as usual, that's up to you to decide. And with that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. Not gonna force you, do what you want. Thanks for tuning in, and that's the video. Bye.